Hi everyone, my name is Deborah and welcome to the Edit by DH. Welcome to another video and welcome to another Lisa Eldridge video. If you guys are new to my channel, then welcome. And if you are a Lisa Eldridge fan, you have come to the right place. I am known for my Lisa Eldridge videos. I buy and review from all of her launches, so if that's your thing, you are absolutely in the right place. Do subscribe and keep an eye on my updates because every time she launches I do review it. It's just I might not review it straight away, kind of like this video, it might be a few days behind, but I often do that intentionally because there's two types of videos that I can realistically post. It's either going to be a very new first impressions video, which is what a lot of bloggers tend to do. They like to do because it gets the numbers in. And though I do first impression videos sometimes, I do with Lisa's products like to just try on a little bit, wear it, do like a wear test so that I can give you a bit more information. And I've also had a few days to sort of like think about it and experience the products before I come on camera and give you my thoughts. If you are somebody that's been following me for a while, then welcome back to my video. So this is a Lisa Eldridge review of her new launches around eyes. She has launched not one but two new collections, I guess, although they are sort of like extensions of existing collections and products. So the first one is the eyeshadow palette. So though she has existing eyeshadow palettes, this is a new, should I say, color story, and this one is called Fawn. And she has 5 new liquid silk eyeshadows. I say new just because the texture, the finish, maybe some of the ingredients that she's used are new, but she does have liquid eyeshadows from before, which are called the 𝕕𝕠𝕟𝕥 eyeshadows or 𝕕𝕠𝕟𝕥 liquid eyeshadows. This is the liquid silk eyeshadow, so they're slightly different, but in terms of the packaging, it can look the same. I will go through it in more detail in just a moment. I tend to do swatches in natural light because even though I'm in natural light right now, as you guys know, natural light can be different depending on where I'm sitting, whether I'm right by the window or some distance away from it, whether it's sunny outside, whether it's gloomy outside. All of those things can impact even how natural light looks. So I wanted to give you the most accurate swatches, and as always, I like to do it beforehand. So as I talk through these products, you will see natural light, non-filtered photographs on the screen as I go through each product in color. With regards to this launch as well, there were so many eye colors and I was like, how am I going to do this justice? I only have one set of eyes. So I thought, how could I do it without literally killing my eyeballs on camera, or my lids more accurately? So I decided to do the swatches of the liquid silk eyeshadows prior to filming, and so I just did sort of like rough swatches and wear test of each color on my lid so that you get an idea of how it looks on my skin tone, on my eyes, just so that you can get an idea of it. And again, it's not filtered, so excuse me if it doesn't look the best or most polished, but it was just more important that you guys could see the color. I did the 5 colors all in one go. My lid was extremely sore. I did it, I think, on my right eye. My right eye was extremely sore for the rest of the day, but it was worth it for you guys. And then I thought I could just sort of play around with and do a quick look using the Fawn palette on video today. So since I've already done the liquid silk eyeshadows wear test, should I say, I will just take you guys through it. I will give you all the information you need to know about it based on the website first, like the official information. And then what I'll do is I will add Lisa's commentary, because I always watch Lisa's videos as well. So you guys don't have to like go back to her video. Obviously you can if you want to, but I always watch her video, so I give you information from that as well as my own thoughts on it. So hopefully it's a very comprehensive review. So like I said, Lisa has launched 5 liquid silk eyeshadows, and the names are inspired by Greek goddesses, just to make you aware. So I did make notes of like the inspiration of each color and name. So first we'll start by just talking about the product itself. It's a lid smoothing soft focus matte liquid eyeshadow in nuanced natural shades for an elevated eye in seconds. The ultimate luxurious one and done liquid eyeshadow in a lid smoothing soft focus matte finish and a silky hydrating texture. Liquid silk is vegan and contains no talc, silicones, microplastics, fragrance, mineral oils, nylon or parabens. Liquid silks are effortless to apply and are very pigmented, so Lisa recommends starting with 2 swipes or dots, applied with the applicator and blended out immediately with either your fingers or a brush for an even wash of colour. Once you get used to the formula, you can adjust the amount you can use depending on your desired level of depth and intensity. Apply liquid silk directly to clean, dry eyelids, as it's best not to apply liquid silks on top of rich moisturizers, oils or greasy eye creams, as this may compromise the setting, smoothing and staying power of the formula. You can use your usual eye primer underneath if preferred, although it's not essential to be able to achieve the soft focus matte finish of liquid silk. For easy removal, Lisa recommends taking your liquid silk off with a good oil-based remover. So that's the information about the liquid silk. I will give you a little bit more information about what Lisa said in just a moment. I just want to go through the colours first. So here are all the colours that the website officially shows and shared. So Irene is the goddess of peace, and it's a neutral peach. Ione is not a goddess but a water nymph, I believe she said, and it's a cool mauvey grey. Phoebe is the goddess of bright intellect. It's a light camel colour, and she said this is her favourite shade as the colour is closest to her natural lid shade. Gaia, the goddess of earth, is a deeper golden brown, and Talia is the muse of comedy and poetry, and this is a deep rosewood shade. So what makes these eyeshadows stand out, I guess, and sets it apart from other liquid eyeshadows or even her previous 𝕊𝕦𝕓𝕒 eyeshadow is that it's got this ingredient in it called lepacho bark, and then this is like the star ingredient of this product, I guess, and just because it has this instant lid smoothing effect. And Lisa really raves about this product and how she didn't really have any thoughts about it or much hopes about it, and she had cynicism even, but when she saw how it applied, how it lasted, how it set, she was really impressed and so happy with the final product. It's got a self-setting complex, means that it doesn't matter how oily your lids are, it's very long wearing. She said she's starting with 5 skin compatible shades. Easy and effortless to apply, helps as a base for powder shades to last, as in powder eyeshadow shades. Smooths and evens tone. You can use obviously your finger or a brush to apply it. A brush she recommends for a lighter wash of colour. She also has claimed that it never flakes, peels or separates, and it's good for building up the colour. And she said it's also good for a wash of colour underneath, especially as a base for like a smoky eye look. So here are my looks wearing all 5 shades. I deliberately put Irene, Ione and Phoebe together because they, in my mind, are like the more neutral, kind of contoury shades. So, and I feel like they are the ones that most people would have sort of trouble deciding between, because although they are different shades and have slightly different undertones, they are also can look kind of similar at first glance. So that's why I put those 3 together. And then lastly, I compared Gaia and Talia together because they are the more deeper, more bolder colors, and that's why I put them together. So when I was looking at the colors online, as per usual, it's not the easiest because I've said it time and time again, and you guys normally agree with me, studio lighting, it's so difficult because it's so different to how it looks in natural light. So it's fine if you want to wear them at night, studio lighting is fine for that, but if you want to know how it looks in natural light, you need swatches that are done in natural light. I have noticed, though, to be fair, around launch times, Lisa has started to share on her Instagram profile stories or Instagram stories the swatches in natural light, but I just wish there was more on that on her website, if that makes sense, so that we can just see it on different like skin tones in natural light, because it can be very different. And especially many of you, I know a lot of you who are in the Lisa Eldridge community that I've got to know over the years, you guys, you know, a lot of you don't have a Lisa Eldridge counter near you, so it's very hard for you to know what color to go for. And then often when you do get the color, I've often got feedback that, you know, it's different to what you guys thought it would be because you weren't able to swatch it beforehand. Overall, I would absolutely agree that it does set very well. and I like it because it's very lightweight. It doesn't turn like flaky or crispy, as she said, especially with the flakiness. Like some liquid eyeshadows, if the layer is a little bit too thick, it instantly crusts off, which sounds gross, but it does happen. I like the fact that, yeah, so it's lightweight, so it doesn't feel like anything is on your eyes. I like the fact that it is buildable, so you can absolutely do a light wash of color. So I've actually got Phoebe on my eyes right now, and I've deliberately done that to be a base. I know that on her website it says not to use any oily bases underneath, obviously, because it may impact the final look and how it kind of settles. But at the same time, in her video she did say that because of the self-setting complex, it doesn't matter how oily your lids are, it's very long wearing. So I got to test that unintentionally. So when I was trying all 5 shades on my right eyelid, I was using an oil-based remover to remove it, because trust me, when it sets, it sets. So you need an oil-based remover to remove it, also to help remove it, because obviously you might be able to use something that's not oily based, but then I feel like you'd be using more pressure and rubbing it, and at the end of the day the skin around your eyes are very thin and sensitive. So I would highly recommend using an oil-based remover that is obviously suitable to use around the eyes. But when I was using this oil-based remover, I didn't use water afterwards to rinse it off, or even powder to cover it afterwards, and then I was going in with color after color after color because I didn't have the time to like rinse it off in between, and I found that the color still stayed, which was really, really impressive. I find that you've got some time after the first sort of application to blend it and work with it, but I would highly recommend doing an eye at a time. Please do not do like a dot and then a dot and then go in here whilst you're working on this. Trust me, you will just have a dot on and dry down on this eye. So just do one eye at a time. I know that Lisa said to apply it onto the lid with the applicator, but I just always find it's a safer bet to go onto the back of the hands. And trust me when I say this, a little goes a long way. So that is absolutely a positive thing. So it not only will it mean that the product lasts way longer and you don't need to top it up as often, but trust me, it's wasting your product if you go in with anything more than a dot or a dot. So I would always just go in with a dot first, and then you can always add more product if you need to. Because also where I kind of did this initially, I wasn't sure like how it would go. So initially I would just sort of swipe the back of my hand, and there was quite a lot of product in one swipe. And then I would find that as I'm blending out one eye, it's almost dried down on the back of my hand, and then it's just a waste of product, right? I generally prefer using a brush rather than my finger, just because, especially with the deeper and bolder shades, I feel like you've got a little bit more control. It's a little bit more neat if you use a brush, if that makes sense. Even if you were to wear Irene, Ione and Phoebe as just like base colors that give your eye a little bit more definition and contour, it absolutely can be used like that. I also like the fact, like Lisa said, I was about to say Phoebe, like Lisa said, if you use it as a base color and then you use your powders on top, that could absolutely work, and that's what I'm going to do afterwards with the Fawn Eyeshadow Palette. Also with Gaia and Talia, I was initially like, oh, like they are very deep colors. I don't know how it will look on me. I didn't want to look like a panda or like I've been punched in the eyes. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at how workable the colors were and are. And I think that's again because they are buildable. So you can absolutely get this beautiful light wash shade with Gaia, and it's almost this beautiful sort of like chocolatey color when it's like a light wash. And then Talia is slightly different to the rest in that it's more of like a rosewood shade, but again that just gives you a little bit more variety. So the key thing that I got from what her video said was she's starting with 5 skin compatible shades, meaning I believe that there are more shades coming along. This is just the beginning, just to see how we get on. She probably wants to see the response and reaction to it. And I have to say, I am super impressed. I've done an all-day wear test as well with these, and they absolutely last. They really, really do. There is no creasing whatsoever. And I've tried it on my eyelid, and I live in a hot and humid country. So going forward, guys, if you're living in a hot and humid country, you know, or if you're going on a holiday, you know that you can trust my review, because I live in an environment that is constantly 24/7 hot and humid. I live in Singapore, for those of you who don't know. So yeah, it lasted in the Singaporean heat, so that is an absolute bonus. So yeah, I am super impressed with the liquid eyeshadows. I would be really interested to see what shade she comes out with next. Next up is the Fawn Eyeshadow Palette. So like I said, there are eyeshadow palettes already, but actually since my last video, Lisa has actually discontinued many of her products, including some eyeshadow palettes. For example, I think 𝕊𝕦𝕓𝕤𝕗 no longer exists, I believe. Let me again give you some information on the palette based on what the website says, then I'll just add to it with my own swatches, as well as information from her video, as well as my final sort of thoughts on it. And stay tuned, because there is a little mini giveaway coming as well. So Fawn Eyeshadow Palette says it's your essential natural palette for defining and sculpting to elevate your everyday look. Ultra flattering, seamless matte neutrals that don't lean too warm or too cool, with pops of shimmer in understated tones. Each playful edit of buttery smooth eyeshadows are housed in a customizable compact, allowing you to mix and match your own unique color story. Inspired by the chic elegance of uptown New York during the Fitzgerald era, whether you're sculpting a simple eye or aiming for smoky drama, this palette allows for versatility and sophistication with its predominantly neutral tones. Inspired by the city's iconic brownstone buildings, additional touches of understated shimmer and sparkling glamour make this the embodiment of quiet luxury for the eyes. So in this palette, Dorian, which is the rich chocolate, Debutante, which is the delicate warm peachy pink, Upper West Side, it's neutral beigey taupe, White Tie is a sparkling light champagne, Supernaturally is a soft brown, and Burnt Clove is a dark blackened brown. Just to give you a bit more information based on Lisa's video, she said that there are 3 new palettes coming out and Fawn is the first. So that's really interesting. Maybe they're to replace the ones that were discontinued. And it's supposed to be primarily a sculpting palette with what she calls little hints of glamour. It is a refillable color story, so obviously all of her eyeshadow palettes, you can absolutely swap and change the colors in the palette. Every single palette has 6 shades, and right at the back there are little holes, so you can just, you know, poke something in it and then just switch it around, which is what I did with one of my palettes, where I merged, I'm going to go through it in a minute, but I merged the Vega and the Cinnabar palette, so I think I mixed like 3 and 3. She said it is a palette for a daytime look primarily, but you can absolutely build it up for a smoky look. It's talcum microplastic free. With the burnt clover color, she likes to use it as a liner. So that is at the top left. She also said an interesting fact about it, that in the Edwardian technique, they used burnt clover for their liner and mascara, and that's where she got her inspiration from. So she likes to use burnt clover as a liner, and in fact she did that in her video where she did this eye look with the palette, and she said it's foolproof as a liner. With the luminous and highlighting shades, she said you can get a wet looking shine from it depending on like what angle you look at it from. Let me just quickly do an eye look with this eyeshadow palette, and then I'll give you my sort of final thoughts on it. I did Dorian on my main lid because I had Phoebe in my crease. So I did Dorian on my main lid to give it a bit of depth. That's a luster shade. And then I used the burnt clove just to deepen the eyeliner close to my lash line. A little bit on the bottom just to give it a bit more depth, and as a liner using a different brush instead of using like a liquid liner or a pencil liner, which is what I would do. And actually I think it's done really well considering it's just powder. And then I just wanted to jump on camera to use White Tie in the corner of my eyes for a pop, like kind of Lisa. I do this anyway, but Lisa did it in her video. It's quite a kind of glittery shade. And then I'm going to use Debutante in the middle, just as like a center spotlight kind of color. I think it will just nicely complement all the tones I have on my eyes right now. So it's very subtle, but I like the fact that it's subtle. I actually think it would also be really fun to wear the debutante and white tie when I've just got a naked eye and just let it like do its own thing and have its own moment, or even using one of the base colors with the Liquid Silk eyeshadows and then using this straight on top, one of these two on top, again just letting it do its own thing and have a moment. So this is sort of like an eye I've created. And let me just finish it off with her Kitten Lash mascara quickly before I give you my thoughts on it. Whilst I'm doing this, I will just go through some color combinations. So I compared the Fawn Eyeshadow Palette, some of the shades, because to the naked eye they could be very similar or seem to be very similar to some of the shades that were in ℕ𝕗𝕗𝕗 and 𝕊𝕐𝕗𝕗. And unfortunately I couldn't compare it to any of her other color stories because I only have half 𝕊𝕐𝕗𝕗, half ℕ𝕗𝕗𝕗 palette and a full Sorcery palette, but none of the colors are similar to the Sorcery color story, so I didn't compare it to those. But for the ones that I had left, I compared the colors. So I've just put like an F for Fawn, a C for ℕ𝕗𝕗𝕗 and a V for 𝕊𝕐𝕗𝕗 for kind of comparable colors, and hopefully that will be helpful to you guys, because obviously if you can't swatch it yourself, then hopefully it will be helpful for those of you just to see how similar or not similar these colors are side by side. Right, so that is my mascara done. I'm not going to do my bottom lashes. So I just wanted to do a quick eye look on camera using the Fawn Eyeshadow Palette, and just as an FYI, I have the Petal lipstick on, but I will link everything down below. So anything I'm wearing, including my earrings, including my other base makeup, including the Lisa Eldridge products I've used today, I will link. So please do go check it out. And if you decide as a result of this review and video that you like any of the things that I have shown you or tried on for you or reviewed, then I would really appreciate it if you could purchase it via my affiliation link, because it just means that I get a little percentage of the sale, but it doesn't mean that you pay any more. So it's hopefully a win-win for both of us. So my thoughts on this palette. Now, these are my thoughts. Obviously, if you think differently, you know, you're more than welcome to share even in my comment section and we can have a great discussion down below. For me personally, so when I saw this palette, I was like, okay. Being completely honest, I feel like they're colors we've seen before. They almost seem like a mix of some of her previous colors from like ℕ𝕗𝕗𝕗, from 𝕊𝕐𝕗𝕗, from like, it just seemed like a bit of a mix for me. And that's exactly why I was very curious to do the color comparison swatches. Obviously, none of the colors are the same. It's just obviously very, very nuanced. So they could look very similar at first glance, but then when you swatch them side by side, it just depends like what you need and what colors suit you, what undertones you prefer, etc. Right? So when I first saw this shade, I was like, palette, I was like, okay. But on the other hand, I thought it's also a very nice mix and something that would appeal to a lot of people in having kind of sculpting colors, but also a liner color, and then like more poppy glamour colors or hints of glamour as she calls it. So that was actually a really nice mix. I wish in a way that it had just been sculpting colors, and that's just me. But I guess the solution to that is that they are customizable, so I can just swap and change to make this an all sculpting shade where it's all just matte colors, and I might have inspired myself to do that now. Again, I wish that she has a palette that's just full of these sort of like glittery colors, but again, I can swap and change it. If she was going to call it a sculpting palette, I wish it was more like just sculpting shades, if that makes sense. But let me know your thoughts, because I'd like to know what you guys think of that, but also what you guys think of this palette. Obviously, I'd like to know what you guys think of the other Liquid Silk eyeshadows. Also, another thing is, like I said earlier, you can pop out the eyeshadows really easily. They're magnetic. It's super easy to do, and then you can literally just make your own ideal palette. Okay, so something I was going to add as feedback, but I've seen that she's done it now, is, I was going to say, I wish each eyeshadow had their own individual name on the back, and I'm so glad they've done that now. So I can see in the new Fawn eyeshadow, they've got the names of the eyeshadows on the back, because that was something that bothered me before. Because for example, when I went back to that my own customized palette where I mixed Vega and Cinnabar together, I tried to look at the back and I couldn't remember which shade was from where and what each shade was called. Luckily for me, I do social media, and I had taken a photograph and referenced the names in a previous post a long while ago. So thankfully I had that to reference so that I could give you the comparable shades. And it also helps to have the names on the back, because say if you fall in love with Dorian and you end up using that and nothing else, and you just want to top up Dorian, she does sell the single shades on her website, but you need to know what it is, right? And you need to know, I mean, obviously here it's in the order of how it is written on the back, but say if you were to customize it, if it didn't have a name on the back and you've used it all up, how can you top it up unless the name is on the back? So I'm glad they have done that, and now the names are on the back. Otherwise that would have been a feedback I would have given. Also, just another point is, she was supposed to launch concealers apparently this week with this launch as well. Unfortunately, it's been pushed back and postponed until early next year. So we do have a little while longer to wait for the concealers. She did say sorry about it, but ultimately she was explaining that it's her brand and really she doesn't want to release it until she's happy with it. And just before I go on to the giveaway, I just also wanted to say, I've mentioned it in past videos, but haven't mentioned it recently. I am super impressed with the customer service team. I just think it's great at how quickly they get back to me and other people when we have queries, when we have, we have problems. I think they're very quick to not only respond, but respond quite sympathetically, or give a refund if needs be, or an exchange if the product is faulty. I know that where I've had questions, the team have been super quick to get back to me, and that doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm really appreciative of that, because I'm very aware of how many brands, even if they are responsive, they're not as responsive or as quick as the Lisa Eldridge team. And often I've noticed that when I've reached out in the past, it might not have always been within the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 timing, and they've still responded. So that's always pleasantly surprised me. So yeah, I just want to really give applause to her customer service team, because that is very unique and also very appreciated for, I'm sure you will agree, customers like us. So last but not least, my mini giveaway. I was initially thinking about giving away the 5 Liquid Silk eyeshadows. I wasn't sure if all 5 shades would appeal to you guys, so I just thought it made more sense to just get an extra Fawn palette instead and give away the Fawn palette. So that is my giveaway, the Fawn palette. It's a brand new spanking version of this palette, and I feel like it makes more sense because it would just suit a variety of people, eye colors, skin tones, etc. And as part of the giveaway, I have got this lovely denim makeup bag. I gave one away last time and I'm giving away one again this time. So it's always, I love these bags, they're so light. I love the finishes, they look quite expensive and they are great for just fitting in a bunch of makeup. Even though it's small, it's quite deceptive, a lot goes into it. So yeah, I'm giving away this bag and a brand new spanking Fawn palette. So that will be the giveaway. Please do keep an eye out for my Lisa Eldridge post. As I always do, I put down all the rules of how to enter the giveaway and the deadline, etc. I would love to see you guys entering it. I hope I've covered everything. I always feel like there's a lot of thoughts when there's a brand new launch, and I hope I've managed to fit everything in. If there's anything I've forgotten, I will try to include it in pinned comments. Otherwise, please do comment down below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you enjoy this review. I hope you enjoy this final eye look created using the Fawn Eyeshadow Palette. Everything will be linked down below, like I said. As always, I just really appreciate the Lisa Eldridge community, especially for the support that you've always given me. I hope this video was just as enjoyable as my other ones. If you are a Lisa Eldridge fan, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. As well, I have got a whole Lisa Eldridge playlist, which I will link down below, of previous videos if you so desire to watch those. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.